Guys, what's up? Colton here. I want to show you this book I just read. It's about Toms. It's called Start Something That Matters by the guy that made Tom's shoes. You know, the shoes where you could buy a pair and then he donates a pair to charity. Pretty freaking awesome book. Anyways, I wrote down the 10 most important things about the book so you don't have to read it real quick. Number 1, Tom says the most important thing any business can do, whether it's a big ass business or a small business, is figure out the story that the business has and sell the story. And he gives examples of how big business succeeded starting to do that. Subway was a great example. When they started picking up on that guy named Jared, you know, I think he turned out later to be a pedophile and it hurt Subway quite a bit later on. But he brings up the example of how they brought in Jared. The first year they brought in Jared, this guy that ate the Subway diet, he lost 100 pounds the first year that he ate Subway. And Subway sales with the commercials went up 16% in 1 year. The second year, still using Jared's story with Subway, the sales went up again 17%. So you see, Subway actually gained 1/3 more market share after they figured out they could use Jared to sell a story. So stories are so important. All right, number 2, you got to figure out what your passion is. If you don't know what your passion is, you're going to completely blow it in entrepreneurship and life in general. And you need to ask yourself these 3 questions to find out what your passion is. Number 1, what would you be doing with your time if money wasn't an issue? Like, ask yourself that. What would I do with myself if money wasn't an issue? Write that down, because that's actually really important. What on earth would you do? Because a lot of people, when you ask them that question, they're like, I don't know. Number 2, what cause would you serve? What would be the cause that you would make your life out to be? And what work would you do? What would you do? If money didn't matter to you at all, what work would you do? Just as Steve Jobs said, you have to be super passionate about and love what you do, because it's so hard to do business. It's just so hard that you have to completely love what you do, or else you're gonna get creamed by all the others that are willing to invest their whole lives and time doing things. You know, Mark Cuban wrote this book called How to Win in the Sport of Business, and I recommend that one as well. It's awesome. He says business is like a game that's going on 24 hours a day where everyone's trying to kick your butt. And you have to stay on top of things, or else people are going to figure out how to kick your butt. But if you're not passionate about what you're doing, you're just going to burn out and not love what you do. So find your passion. Make sure you figure out, what would I want to do otherwise if I didn't have to worry about money? Another thing you have to master is how to become comfortable with fear. Okay, all entrepreneurs have to deal with so much fear, because just think about it. Back in the prehistoric days, our brain was wired, if we're going to go out and go hunting and get something to eat, maybe if we go out there, we could get eaten by something else out in nature ourselves. Maybe some sort of animal, a tiger might get us, right? So it was dangerous to go hunting. But we have almost the exact same brain as when we were hunter-gatherers. It's almost exactly the same. So we're pre-wired to worry about things. A lot of entrepreneurs get so freaking worried about taking any risks, trying anything to make money, that they go into paralysis. And they call it paralysis by analysis. You know those guys that have every single idea in the book, the next Facebook idea, they have spreadsheets on why it should work. But when you ask them time and time again, have they ever done anything? They always say no. So make sure you don't come into the point where you're always at paralysis by analysis, or else you're going to fail. I've had students that have done that, and it breaks my heart. You have to figure out how to get started right away. For Tom got started with only 250 pairs of shoes. He invested just a couple $1,000, had no overhead. He started out of his garage or apartment. So you don't need much to get started. You just need to be resourceful and know what you're doing. I love this Thomas Edison quote. He said, many of life's greatest failures are when entrepreneurs are this close to success and fail before they get there. Happens all the time. Don't let that be you. One of the most important things you can always do, according to Tom, is always be curious. Read biographies. Remember, if you read biographies, success leaves clues, and you can just kind of copy what other people are doing, implement them in your own way, and the chances of you succeeding are so much greater than you just winging it. Okay, there's been so many other people that have made mistakes. Like Warren Buffett says, everyone learns from mistakes, but they don't always have to be your own mistakes. So read about others. All right, I love this Tim Ferriss quote that Tom talks about as well. And this Tim Ferriss quote is pretty popular. I want to just say it right here. For the most important things in life, timing always sucks. Waiting for a good time to quit your job, the stars will never ever align. The traffic lights of life will never be green at the same time. The universe doesn't conspire against you, but it doesn't go out of its way to align the stars either. Conditions are never perfect, all right? Someday, or saying I'll do it later, is a disease that will take your dreams, crush them, and take them to the grave with you, all right? That is so important. Reread that as many times as you can, because if you don't take action, if you think someday is going to be better, or if tomorrow is going to be better, you're fooling yourself. There is never a perfect time to get started. You just need to do it now, okay? I can't say that enough. Imagination is more important than knowledge. That's an Einstein quote that Tom brings up as well. So important. Imagination is everything. That's why all these companies that have come out with these new ideas, they have amazing imaginations. The people that have come up with Uber, a lot of people when it first came out thought it was the craziest, dumbest idea, but they had an imagination that thought about it and how it would work in the real world. The people that made Airbnb, they had an amazing imagination on the computer, renting out random strangers' apartments, little bedrooms in people's apartments, even air mattresses, all right? So one of the biggest concepts of the book is just learning to start small and feel comfortable starting small. Starting small is actually a blessing. The companies that start with a lot of money are the ones that end up losing a ton of money in the end. Think about the .com era. For Tom, he brought up like Pets.com. Pets.com only made $600 million in revenue, but they spent $16.4 billion in advertisements. They had too much money, and that's what made their downfall happen. If they just grew things a little more organically, maybe came up with a business that had a good story, organically brought traffic in, maybe Pets.com would still be around today. But they had too much money. They got too much investment capital at the early start, got Super Bowl ads, got super greedy, and that's what ended up happening. So money, while many people think it's a blessing when they first get started, is actually a curse. So it's not about how many resources you have in this life, it's about how resourceful you are, all right? So check that book out. It's a really good one. If you don't, you pretty much have everything right here. Stay tuned. We're gonna read a billion more books because remember, the more you learn, the more you earn. So take care, guys. Bye.